everyone! Today I'm going to be talking about my issues with Belle from the remake of Beauty and the Beast and why I'm disappointed with her compared to the original version of Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Those of you who are friends with me on Facebook will already know, if you read my reviews, that I was really disappointed in the remake for a lot of different reasons, but there's already a lot of videos floating around on YouTube that unpack all of those reasons, so I'd rather focus on something that hasn't really been said much. So today I'm going to be focusing specifically on Belle and why I was upset with some of the decisions they made when they were reimagining her character. So in the original, Belle is introduced as this quiet, kind, but rather quirky character who doesn't really fit in. She's not trying to rock the boat or anything, but she just has certain quirks that don't really fit with town life that are considered odd for especially a woman to have. So she's a little bit eccentric, which is nothing to say of her father, but she has a lot of patience for dealing with idiots. This is important. It leads on to her meeting and taming the beast. The kind of girl who would actually fall in love with the beast and break the spell would have to be deeply perceptive, as well as kind and caring and warm and patient. And the creators basically had to write a character who would actually convince the audience of these qualities. And it works. And honestly, when I think of all the Disney ladies, Belle is the only character who can really pull that off. But more on that later. So how did Belle change from 1991 to 2017? Well, in the remake, Belle is a much fiercer character. She is louder, she's bolder, she's quite a bit sassier. And look, normally I would not consider that a bad thing. In fact, I actually identify more with remake Belle than original Belle, but I'm going to get into that a bit later. The problem is, fierce Belle doesn't work in this story. And you might think, hey, well, you know, it's a new movie, they're going to have new characters, they're going to change up the dynamics a little bit, it'll work. Like, you know, Gaston was a pretty contemptuous asshole in the original. Maybe in this version he's even more of an intolerable, nasty person, so she can smack that postmodern feminist attitude right up in his face and it'll all make sense, except that they didn't do that. And it doesn't make sense. Gaston is actually considerably a more sympathetic character in this version. Like, he's actually being nice to her. He's actually trying to take an interest in her interest rather than just tossing her book in the mud like he did in the original. He's giving her flowers. I mean, and yeah, you know, she rejects him, which is fine. You know, we get it, girl. Like, sometimes you gotta do it. But the annoying part is not the fact that she rejects him, it's what she says when she's rejecting him.
No one can change that much.
Really? Let's just skip forward a little bit here. Let's get to the part where she actually meets the beast, right? So what does he do? He imprisons her father, locks her up, yells at her, doesn't even bother to give her a room, shows absolutely no remorse for his mistakes, craps all over her favourite book. I mean, if Gaston and the Beast were in a contest of who can change for Belle, surely Gaston is miles ahead. So what the hell? I mean, obviously as the story unfolds, Gaston sort of unleashes his darker side, right? But Belle isn't actually there to witness this. So for all she knows, given what she's seen with the Beast's behaviour, Gaston should look like a freaking saint. So it doesn't make sense. I mean, I absolutely hate it when people go on about being the Beast and they're like, you know, Stockholm Syndrome. But in this movie, it really actually does seem like it. There's just no reasonable explanation for why someone who is as fierce and independent and bold and brash as Belle would fall for someone like this Beast. I mean, other than when he's actually raging, he shows no emotion at all in every scene that he's in. In the original, Belle's patience and love moves the Beast, and you can actually see them gradually warming up to each other and changing their minds about each other. You get to see his pain, his anguish, his joy, his nervousness, his heartbreak. It makes sense that Belle, being so kind and warm and sweet and patient, it makes sense that she falls in love with him. And if you're going to make Belle fiercer and more brash and less tolerant of rude, arrogant jerks, you can't then go make the Beast more intolerable, rude and arrogant and a jerk. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, that is the definition of incompatibility. Okay, now here's the catch. I know why they did this. I know why they changed Belle. The new Belle is Hollywood's version of the modern woman. Disney has been going down this path for some time. I mean, if you look at how Disney ladies have evolved, you can kind of see the direction they've been going in. You can see the difference between Snow White, Cinderella, Ariel, Jasmine, Pocahontas. As we're going up the ladder here, Disney girls have been getting more and more active, more and more aggressive. Actually, I'm going to make the argument, which may be a little controversial, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you will agree. I'm going to make the argument that Disney girls have been displaying more and more characteristics that are typically masculine, traditionally speaking, more masculine characteristics. And generally speaking, this is praised as they are considered to be stronger characters. Now, Carolyn, what have you got against feminism, right? Look, don't get me wrong. I love tomboy characters. In fact, I've always identified more with the tomboy characters to begin with. The backtalkers, the sassy types, the girls who stand up for themselves. I like to think of myself as Jasmine or as Esmeralda, although if I'm being completely honest with myself, I'm probably more of a Rapunzel. But seriously, Mulan, Jasmine, Jane from Tarzan, they're my heroes. I love the fact that there are so many more tomboy characters now in Disney. That's not the issue. The issue is almost all the girls in Disney fall under one of two broad categories. Either they're a strong, action-oriented female character, or they're a damsel in distress. Either they're not one of the regular girls because there's at least one scene where they show they can be just like one of the boys, or they're a weak character. You know what I'm talking about. And there is only one exception to this. Belle. Belle is decidedly feminine. All those positive qualities I mentioned before, kindness, warmth, patience, compassion, these are stereotypically feminine characteristics. And yet you definitely couldn't say that she's a weak character. She's still a very assertive person and she doesn't lack the courage to stand up for herself. And she literally ends up saving the day without ever having to prove that she's not just one of the boys. And you may disagree with me, but I contend that she is the only Disney princess to be both a strong character and a feminine character. And that's a remarkable thing.
You have courage. Not battle courage, perhaps, but I don't know, a woman's kind of courage.
And like I said, it's not that I identify with her. I mean, she's more of a role model, and I can't really ever be that level of perfect. But in a world where women are still poorly represented in the media, I feel like it's a shame that girls are sort of given this message where, if you want to be praised for being a strong, independent individual, you basically gotta act tough and act more like a man, as if that's the only way strength can be achieved. Belle was a beautiful, powerful, and rare example that femininity is not a weakness, at least not necessarily a weakness. You just don't see that in the media. It's really hard to find a female character who is both, clearly a strong character, but also a girly, feminine character. So it's honestly a shame that they had to go and change that because she was really the only one who fulfilled that role. And I feel like it was actually a disservice to Belle, kind of an insult to her character, that the makers of the remake felt like they needed to actually improve upon her character. They actually had to, make her stronger, as if she wasn't already strong. I mean, she was actually pretty badass, just in her own way. What do you think? Do you prefer the new version of Belle or the old version of Belle? Who's your favourite Disney princess? Leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos. Bye!